Well, hey everyone, hope you had a great 4th of July weekend. I wanted to come to you with an update. I'll just tell you right now, this is a bit of a lengthy one because I got some notes, just some things that I wanted to let you know about how we are going to be moving forward. And honestly, a lot of these things didn't seem quite appropriate to be doing on our live stream. And so a couple of those things just stacked up and decided just to do kind of a longer update video. So I'll tell you right now, kind of the three things I'm going to hit. The first is a regathering update. We do have a date of when we will be regathering, so I'll tell you about that in a minute. Some staffing changes, and then also an update about the carnival. So to remind you, if you didn't see the previous video that we did a couple weeks ago, we have 4 plays in our playbook. The first one was moving online, the second to smaller groups, the third is Catalyst Live, and then the fourth is a complete Catalyst Regather. And we will soon be hitting play on that third play. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But just before we get there, just to remind you some of the things that we have tried to keep in our mind as just kind of some focal points of how we are going to regather. The first is that we want to love our community really well. And for us, we understand that in many ways, our community is kind of split in people who are ready to kind of go back to life as it were and are just kind of over the whole COVID thing. But then there is another half of our community that is nervous for good reason of the health scare that is still very prevalent within our community, especially as we've seen over the last few days and weeks. And so trying to balance that, we want to honor as many people as we can, and often we've been kind of stuck in a position where it appears that honoring one means dishonoring another, and that isn't true. We believe that we can honor both well, and so we want to try to do that as best we can. The second is just how you all have responded to online. I know it has been challenging, trust me. When we started this, I did not see this going 15, 16, 17 weeks and beyond, but we thank you so much for those of you who have stuck with it, who have been a part of our weekend, not only on Sunday morning, but catching it on demand when you can, which we know is many of you. And then the last is that we want it to be a great experience for people, for your family, for your friends, and for you personally. And some of the guidelines that have been coming down over the last few months have made that a little difficult, but we've gotten some further clarity on some of those guidelines, which has kind of changed the way that we are going to be approaching everything. So, many of you last week took a survey. For those of you who did, thank you very much. Letting us know just kind of how you're feeling about regathering, how you're doing personally, and the steps that you might take. And what we found was not very surprising. It kind of confirmed what we suspected, and that is that our church is much like the rest of our county. There is a good chunk of people who are ready to come back tomorrow, and there is a good chunk of people who are going to be waiting for a little while. And so in our desire to try to honor both of those, we are going to begin to regather, but then at the same time move to a live stream that is actually truly live. Now, let me tell you something. Creating a live stream that is worth watching is not as easy as it seems. We were already pretty far down the road, but you've probably already figured it out. Much of what we have been doing over the last 17 weeks has been recording things in elements, and then in post-production, Stephanie puts it all together as one. But we have never once recorded everything from start to finish. And when you do something like that, to make it quality with multiple camera angles and quality audio and overlays of verses so that you can follow along, all of those things are not as easy as it seems. But Stephanie primarily has been working overtime to bring everything we need into the house here to get it all ready to go, and we have been testing and are going to continue testing throughout July so that we can begin to regather, because we want to provide you, for those of you who are not quite ready, we want to honor you with a live stream that is worth watching. But for those of you who are ready to gather, we wanted to let you know that we will be reopening our facility on Sunday morning, August 2nd. We will be opening with a 9 a.m. service, just one, to kind of test the boundaries and see how things work and how things flow. A couple things about that service that you need to know about. We only have about 50 seats, and you're going to need to register. So the week prior, we'll send something out through our database. The emails that usually come from us, a link will come out and you will have to register. If you don't register, sorry, we'll try to get you next time. But we have to do that by CDC guidelines. I was going to take a few minutes to talk about the regulations that will be in place when that time comes, but really there's no point in doing that because literally they changed again yesterday. So we'll send out a video right before that happens with some more clarity on exactly what you can expect in-house on that day. But one of the things we do know for sure is that we will not be able to have Catalyst Kids quite yet or Student Impact quite yet. So just so you know about that. It is also totally cool if you decide to stay live stream. That's why we're doing it, because we recognize that many of you are just really taking that seriously, and we want to honor you and applaud you for that and make sure that you can connect as best you can with as quality experience as you can from your home. Lastly, on the whole regathering thing, if you are a part of a ministry team, I've asked your coordinators to reach out to you to kind of find out where you're at in regards to regathering, because when we do open this place back up, we are going to need volunteers and we are going to need teams to begin to put things back together. And we'd like to know where the gaps are, if there are going to be any. So if your coordinators contacted you and you haven't contacted them back, please do us a favor and contact them. If you are interested in joining a ministry team, be looking out, because in the coming weeks we will be recruiting for many of the spaces that we have open as we continue to grow. So that is everything about regathering. The second thing, which kind of does impact our regathering, is a staffing change that we have made over this COVID season. Some of you may have noticed that our worship team has kind of gone to a rotation of leaders. And that is because during this COVID season, Catalyst and Brian and Danette McCalman, we've decided to part ways, mainly because we had a role that we had envisioned for the worship and tech ministry that they were not really interested in pursuing. And it just happened at the right time during the whole COVID thing that we felt that that would be the right time to kind of part ways. They'd get to go pursue something else. We could begin pursuing some other leaders. And hopefully by the time we regather, that we would have someone leading that ministry team. I will have you know that we are interviewing some folks, and so please be praying for that. And we hope to have that all buttoned up by early August. But just so you know, that transition has taken place. And I want to thank Matt Nagel, Stephanie Mahan, Vina, the rest of the worship team who has been so faithful to continue to come to the building on really strange hours and days to make these things work, all the techs that have put everything together to continue to provide a great online experience. So that is something that you need to know. And then lastly, and this is kind of a bummer, but I need to let you know about it, because some of you might have thought, oh, that's cool, we're regathering on August 2nd. But wait, August 2nd is the carnival, and that's right. August 2nd was the carnival. We tried everything we could think of to try to keep the carnival moving forward. We initially, obviously, when the main shutdowns happened and we were contacted by the fairgrounds and they let us know that, we would not be able to utilize the fairgrounds, we tried to start scrambling. We thought about going to all 12 schools simultaneously and passing out backpacks. And I'll tell you, the school district was phenomenal to work with. They were very supportive and also at the same time very understanding, because if you've been tuned into the school district, they are dealing with many of the same challenges. But really, at the end of the day, it just became too much for us to handle and really became impossible for us to pull off anything that looked anything like the carnival in such a short period of time with all the restrictions and guidelines that we would have to keep in place. And so unfortunately, we had to cancel this year's carnival and postpone it to next year, where we will be back and we will be inviting all 12 elementary schools to the fairgrounds, Lord willing, if that is a possibility, a little over a year from now. I sure hope we can do that a year from now. But just letting you know that that is unfortunately something that we had to make the tough decision to move forward with. Thank you so much First of all, for sticking through this video, but also just for those of you who've been active online, thank you for your faithful financial support that has continued to keep this ministry moving forward. Also has allowed us to invest in all the technology that we needed to get live streaming up and going, allowed us to retain the staff that we do have. We didn't cut anyone's hours. We kept everyone employed. And I thank you, every single one of you who have continued to be a part of this ministry, even in a remote way. Those of you who are part of crews and groups and ministry teams, we are going to be all back together very soon and begin to kind of put the pieces back together. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you online this weekend, and then hopefully in person August 2nd. Have a great rest of your week. We will see you soon. God bless. Love you.